Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, long time no seen.
Yeah, it's been forever.
I know, it's AKA maybe 35 minutes since I last saw your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just did a reading. It's okay. But I
Yeah.
felt bad because you were like, when can I be on it? And I was like, well, how about tonight?
I know. You're like, let me just. Tim said no, so sure, Shannon.
Well,
I'm just
actually,
kidding.
Tim responded, and he's going to be on as after I'm done recording this one. so
Nice.
I
Don't
don't
try to make me feel too special, Matt, or anything.
Shannon, I have known you since I was a child.
I know it.
So, like, AKA, like 17. But I was a child back then, and I'm a child now. What can I say?
Well, it's been a pleasure to know you over the years.
Yeah. Do you think I've grown taller? Do you think I've grown uh, more mature?
Do I have to answer that question?
I don't know. You can if you want. Because I'm sure.
I don't think you've gotten taller. I definitely think you've gotten mature, more mature. I've always been shorter than you, though, so I don't know
That's
if
true.
that makes a difference.
Yeah, that's true. Because I always, I don't know why, because I think every day I wake up just feeling an inch taller. I don't know. I don't know why, but what do I know? I'm a C average student in math, but numbers. Anyway, so how have you been? How have you been during this time?
I've been okay. I've been okay. It's been a little crazy being completely alone. I'll be honest. You definitely find ways to occupy yourself. so
Yeah, wait a minute. You're
um,
alone? I thought you had a roommate.
I don't know. I've been living in the city by myself for over a year and a half now.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I've actually been completely alone throughout this whole pandemic situation. It's been absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Have you been developing cabin fever, or have you been like trying to hold it together?
I think I have. Undiagnosed, could we say that? Um, I have literally torn my entire apartment apart, like cleaning it up and like getting rid of stuff. And then I made the decision that, I just hated everything in my bathroom. So I tore that apart. And so there's like little piles of clothes and or like bathroom products or whatever all around my apartment.
Oh, good.
So yeah, my apartment's getting cleaned and I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff and I'm redecorating. Um, but yeah, no, I'm not going crazy. It's been interesting. Like it allows you to, I don't know, like I work out every day. I've been
Mhm.
playing the guitar a lot more. I've been cooking for myself. So it's allowed me to do those things. It has been kind of hard to balance working from home versus working, in the office. That's been different too. So
No, yeah, it's very weird to wake up and then come downstairs and still see your mom in the kitchen doing work. It's like, wait, mom, shouldn't you be at like the office? But she's like, but the office is closed. So it's that was a weird adjustment for me to have everyone back home again.
oh, I bet.
Wasn't a break. Um, the siblings were all older now, and we're trying not to get on each other's nerves. But half of us are still half of them are teenagers, so they're going. So things are developing with them, and that's been very interesting to witness as the oldest brother. I think.
I bet. Oh my gosh, a lot of exposure. Well, because they ended your semester, right?
They didn't end
Or
it.
you're doing it online.
Yeah, we're doing it online, and every day can either be very productive or I've got nothing done at all. Today was a very productive day for me, which is great. And but like yesterday, I did odd assignment at night. I slept in until about noon, and I was like not feeling great about myself. So after that, I was like, oh, we gotta do better. So I woken up early and I got a lot more stuff done. So I'm glad it was a productive day.
It's really weird to see. So, I think you know this, but I support. So, as my job, I'm a sales manager at CDW, right? And
Yeah.
my segment supports higher education. So, um, and in California, so kind of the first chunk or so to be hit, right? Because California went into quarantine before any of us.
Yeah.
And so it was just this massive like overhaul of getting technology to these campuses so that they could do one-to-one programs with their students or shipping laptops, Chromebooks, whatever we had, right? I mean, basically our warehouse was drained of any device,
No.
out to students, out to, to everywhere. So it's been really interesting to see what this has really done for education and higher education, and how it's changed the climate of, of what we're looking at for the future. So it's been really interesting to see that. And that first couple weeks where we went completely work from home, I mean, we were working something like, I want to say anywhere like 12 to 14-hour days. It was just insane. I mean, just absolutely insane. The demand for technology in those first couple weeks was crazy. We're still filling orders from them. It's nuts.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be weird when this is all over? Do you almost feel like people are going to get even more addicted now to this technology when after we're told we can go back to normal?
I think it's changed I think it's gonna forever change the way we look at stuff. I do
Yeah.
think that. I think people right now are really understanding the importance of technology in a way that, like, before, like, we've always had the video conferencing technology, but like we wouldn't use it, right? Like, oh, I don't want to be on camera today. I didn't do my makeup or this or that. Now it's like, oh God, let me be on camera today. Let me see other, especially for me, and all you've been doing is like, self photography, photo shoots, and you know,
Yeah, those have been
reading scripts
great,
with
by
your
the
friends.
way.
Thank you. That was started by Lynn. She was like, "I want you to dress up and wear your Louboutins, and just dress up on your deck and take pictures." I'm like, "That's a great idea." So
Yeah.
I've kind of drug it out to do that. But I think we're going to see this move from where we would avoid phone conferencing before to where now, like, we need it and we like it, and it's a good piece of our technology. I also think people might take a break from technology because it's going to be like all we have, right, for a
Yeah.
little bit.
Oh, for
Those
sure.
extroverts, we're dying. And you know it. I'm sure you are too. You're an
Oh,
extrovert.
so much.
We're just dying to get back into the reality of seeing humans again that we know. And so I think it'll do both. But I do think it will change the dynamic of our schools forever.
Oh,
I
for
think
sure.
that now there will be every school across the United States, or most schools across the United States, will for sure have contingency plans, right?
Mhm.
I think you'll see a big shift towards online learning and what that looks like for colleges and universities, because, yeah, a lot of them have programs, but they don't have super crazy strong ones, even some of the best programs in the United States still needed support, and so I think it'll be interesting to see, a stronger shift towards what that means and how that changes the dynamic of teaching.
Mhm.
When we go back, what that looks like, how we recruit to campuses, how we take classes. I think the you're going to see some major differences in what the college student looks like now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what happens when this is over. It's going to be a very interesting time for our country, for sure.
Oh, for sure. I think, I have my brother who is a senior now in high school. He's finishing up his final semester in high school. This is how it ends for him. And then he's going to go to college in the fall. And I'm so curious to see how he reacts and how he transforms into that. He doesn't know his major yet, so I don't know what it's going to be like yet. But yeah,
I mean, most freshmen don't, so thank goodness.
yeah, I mean that's true. I mean, I started with radio and then became an actor, so.
And now you're podcasting left and right. So who knows, right?
I mean, I think podcasting is a form of both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally think so. So what scares you? What scares you more? The country opening up too early, or the country still be on lockdown for the time being?
I'm not really scared of either thing. I mean, I think this will ultimately change. Like, I don't think the country's going to open and all of a sudden everybody's going to be running around like licking each other or anything like that, right? But,
Yeah.
I hope not, right?
Oh, that'd be great.
But well, I'm going to tell you, like, I'm going to hug everyone I see. So, like, maybe I should want the country to stay closed for longer. I don't know. But I'm not really afraid of anything. And I think the pandemic is scary. I think that the realism of what this is, like, yeah, it's inconveniencing for us and it sucks. But, like, at the same time, like, people are dying and that's awful and that's scary. And I really hope that, whatever happens, I hope that, we make the right decision and one, making sure that this doesn't, rear its ugly head again after a few weeks of being out in the public, and also that we don't go crazy about it either, because I do fear a lot if this lasts too long. What that does to people emotionally,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a really extroverted person, and I'm a really positive person, and it's been sad for me from time to time, just being alone and, kind of needing that interaction or anything like that. So I do fear that if it stays prolonged, it might cause more of another dilemma, if that makes sense.
No, for sure. It's funny because I've been doing okay for a month in isolation or everything being shut down. Besides this, I've been walking, I've been texting, I've been talking to friends. That's been nice. I have my days where I'm sad or need someone else to talk to. But I think that's anyone. I think I'm going to hit a breaking point though if like I'm still doing this in June, just because.
Oh God, I hope not. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know how I think that's the thing. I fear of looking into the future, and this is still going on, and I hate reading reports of people saying, "Oh, this is going to go on for a while," because the problem is we don't have an answer. that's the
Right.
that's the one problem. We do not know how long this is going to end. The president wants to reopen it now. He's saying that every day he wants to do it. Is this the one time I agree with him? Yes, but to a point. I'm nervous that I'm going to go out, and then the next day I'm going to read a report of a case happening in Cook County again, or in Chicago, or somewhere else, and then we have to go right back to where we started, and then I have another season of this podcast.
Well, that's not always so bad, right?
No, it's not so bad, but what I'm saying. I fear of wanting to go back to normal and being careful what I wish for.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, for me, like, as much as I, want to get out of the house and like do things, that are not cleaning my apartment, which, again, has been great, because normally I live my life as you do too, right? Go, 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 go. How do I have a full-time job that, and support that full-time job that's demanding, which I love, but then also how do I get to support this passion? I'm always between those two things. And so it's been nice to like, I've had a lot of me time. I'm not going to need any of that pretty soon. But I would rather stay a little longer, right? Than like you said, have to turn around and do this all again in a couple weeks, or God forbid get sick, or God forbid get somebody sick.
Oh God, yeah.
For me, it's my biggest worry. I mean, and I think there's a different level of like fear with it too. I was talking to some of my younger friends about this, because for me, right, when I think about the scary things I've endured in life, or the things I've seen, or, the travels, or just kind of the insane things, there's some very monumental things that stick in my head. And for me, the scariest thing I ever experienced was 9/11, right?
Yeah.
Because I was 18 years old, and I was going to college, and, I went to Columbia for my first semester of college too, as you know, and we'll leave it at that. But so I hadn't started school yet, and so I remember that day like the back of my hand. So for me, that's the scariest like big world thing that has happened. But I start to realize that like some of my younger friends, like you and some of my other younger friends that I know, it's probably this this unknown thing, right?
Yeah. Do you think do you think you got it already? Because I hear people say they think they got it before this was a thing.
I've had a lot of friends say that. My parents think that they potentially had it back in like November.
Mm-hmm.
I've been, I've been lucky. I had a couple days of like, man, what a hell of a cold.
Yeah.
But because of other things going on in my life, I don't know if you read my blog, but I started to do the process before all this began, and I'll have to do it again now that this has happened and they've put everything on hold, in vitro, so to freeze my eggs. So I think just to prepare for that, I was really super taking care of my body and like, not drinking as much, having a lot of vitamins and stuff like that. So I don't know if that helped me um, or not. Who knows? I was also, I also had a very insane December in my life. So who knows? But no, I've been fortunate enough to be able to pass whatever's been around thus far. Like little sicknesses, nothing crazy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I remember. I remember potentially having a very bad cold in January. I was fine after, and then I think about it now of like, what was that? Was that just
Yeah.
a cold? Was that something more? I don't know. I actually never took my temperature during that to think about it. I was still going to work. I was still talking to people. I think I went out like the first night I felt fine. So I very much wonder of what was that event in my life back in January, but I don't know. Who knows? I feel great
I
now.
think a lot of people feel that way. Well, good. I'm glad you feel great now.
Yeah, it's called a life adjustment, Shannon, how many shows have we done? I think I have a number, but I want your opinion.
Oh man. Okay. Can I say them while I
Yeah, go
count
for it.
them?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So Legally Blonde was our first, right?
Both of them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So we'll do that. We'll double whammy that. So Legally Blonde when I was your director, and then Legally Blonde when we were in Legally Blonde together.
Yep.
At the Opera House.
Yep.
Um, let's see. You were also in Hairspray when I directed it.
Yep.
So that's 3. You were in Addams Family when I directed it. You were in, I just really like to direct you. Apparently, you were.
You just say yes to me all the time, which you don't. You're very kind of you. You don't always have to. I know.
Let's see. You were in. You were in The Christmas Story.
Yep, that's 5.
You were in The Creator with me.
That's 6.
Which I directed also at 6. Have we ever acted together besides?
Meet John Doe.
Meet John Doe, so that's 7.
And I think that's it.
I think that's it. I don't think we've acted together besides
Those 2.
those 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think It's a Wonderful Life was my last show I did in Woodstock. And that was several years ago. And then, we haven't done a show since. Jeez.
No, I came and saw you.
Yeah, you saw me
last year.
You saw me in Rosencrantz. Thank you for that. That was just convenient because you lived in the city. And you saw that majestic beard I had.
I saw something. Yep.
Yeah, you saw a giant hairball stuck to my face, I will say.
Yeah.
How do you think I can now ask this as an actor how do you think you've changed since Legally Blonde the first time back in the spring of 2015 to now, or we can say the last time you directed me, which was, but I don't want to say that because that was the fall of 2017, so it's been a while.
Since Addams Family?
Let's say now. Let's say how have you changed from Legally Blonde to now?
Wow. Oh my God. I mean, my life has taken kind of a 180, or I mean, like a 3. I've changed a lot. So, do you mean theater wise or like life wise?
Yeah, let's say theater wise. How have you changed as an artist?
Okay, great question. Well, I mean, I had come to Legally Blonde. You're talking when we performed or the one I directed?
When you directed it.
Okay, a lot then. So when I did Legally Blonde, that was like the second or third show I'd ever directed, I want to say. So substantially my directing portfolio has expanded a lot. Not only did I think at the time I was working with around like Park District, but I had worked in a lot of places. I'd worked with like side players in Kenosha. I'd worked with Three Brothers Theater. I think by that time I was already an ensemble member. I want to say that was before I did Shrek.
Okay.
So might have been right before, I want to say. No, it was not. It was after. It was after. It was right after, when I directed Blonde, I had at that time, I directed Picasso at the Wapanagio at CLC. And then I had directed, I think, 1 or 2 other shows with the Park District. Like full on directed, not just like been choreographer or part of a team. And so that was, done a lot since then directing wise. So I went on to do work with Woodstock Opera House, with TSP and WMTC. I went on to do Upstaged, the series, of course, and getting to work on, an independent film set that was very professional and exciting.
Yeah.
And getting to learn myself through film again, because I had done a little bit of film prior to that. I had done Red Windows, the feature. And then I also did The Creator with you later on that year, which was a really cool piece.
Oh, God, yeah.
That we got to re-envision. And for me, I think that's always, I know that's always the way I've gone into shows, is with this vision and what does the show mean to me, and how can I create from that show. Unfortunately, and fortunately, because I don't see this as a negative thing, my job has heated up a lot in the last few years, and getting promoted into management. When I did the first Legally Blonde, I was, I think, a year into my job. But, now I've been promoted into management, so my responsibilities have gotten a bit stronger. So I've taken a bit of a backseat on doing projects that are either things I really super want to do, or projects that are, not as time required, right?
Yeah.
So I've been able to do a lot of really cool things like voiceover work, which I absolutely love voiceover work. So I started doing that with CDW. I did the We Are CDW recruiting video, which was a blast. And then I got to do some of Jeff's radio show podcast, like the one we just did. And then I did the self-commentary podcast with Tim Curtis. Done a lot of voiceover, which I've super, super enjoyed. And then just been investigating, like, where I can do little things that are fun and creative still to help fill that, like, gap in my life that I love. But I've had to think about my career a little differently, right? So just recently I did Sector 4, which is my friend Matt's creation, that he hasn't gotten out to the public yet, but that'll be something coming as well, too.
Oh, good. I completely agree that I think for me, in our collaboration, I think The Creator, of all your shows have been great, but I think The Creator was probably your best directed show. And
Thank you.
Yeah, the one, because besides being in it, it was just a very emotional show and a very interesting show. I think that was just your most mature show that I've been witnessing to and been part of thus far. And I have a list of shows that I would like to go back and do again, and change and maybe do something different now that I'm more advanced as an actor, and that's one of them. I think that show should be developed more besides just the one act. That's a really good show, I think.
Well, thank you for that. I think what was so unique about our show, and when you get to do a show like that, I mean, I've done a few of these shows that I did Cold, which was a 2-person show with myself. Will Roberts did it at Three Brothers as well. Beautiful show. And it was the second time it had been done outside of the writer doing it in his theater here in Chicago. And I believe The Creator was the same concept. I think it was the second time. I have to remember what Jessica told us that had ever been done. Or maybe it was third or fourth. And I think it was so cool that we as a team, as a cast, and when I read it, and had all these talented people come out to audition for it, I was like, okay, well, let's think of how we can envision this a little differently. So, adding all those characters into the cast like we did was actually not part of the story. I don't know if you remember when Jessica told us, when she saw it, how cool she thought it was that we had that additional piece to it. And I just think it made it by adding all the kids in, right? Not
sure.
Your characters were there, but adding the kids in. And I just thought that it made it so cool to be able to kind of make the story well-rounded, and how do we divisively deal with grief, and how do we dig deeper into grief, and showing those things through phases, and being able to do something in such an intimate space like we had with Three Brothers, where it really was divisive to use colors and use the different, motions you guys would make or positions with your bodies. And the cast worked so well together. For me, that show will always have a special place in my heart. For sure. Absolutely it will.
Yeah. And that was my first time doing a show that wasn't at the Park District or McHenry. We were in Waukegan. And folks, if you don't know what Waukegan is, it's not a great area. I think I remember we had a two-doche, as they say, and I went to Subway, and there was someone asking me for money, and I think I gave them some money, and then once I left the subway, they were following me back into the theater, and I was getting a little nervous,
You
and
never told me that.
yeah, yeah. So I walked a little faster, and they were still following me, not as fast, but still just walking. And then they just saw me, and I walked into the theater and just sort of watched them just pass me. It was a very, yeah. The thing about that theater, like you said, it's a black box, and backstage is technically behind a curtain in the lobby. So whenever we were doing the show and we were quote unquote backstage, we were in the lobby, and so we can see people past us. And I think you told me that they had to lock the theater during shows because people would like walk in during the show, right?
Yeah, I think that, like, I definitely know they locked it, and I mean, I don't think I had anybody walk in, like, during a show I was ever in, but yeah, they definitely, it's an interesting area, to
Yeah,
say the least,
yeah.
to be, I know that, like, closing up the place, I think a few times I did, why don't you guys stay with me?
I do remember that for sure.
Yeah, but
Um,
I always have such a sentiment for that place though, because it's like, to me, it's like the little theater that could.
oh, for sure.
I think they put on some beautiful art there. They do some really cool stuff, and yeah, it's not the greatest area, but that area is getting. I mean, that was what, 4 years ago, 3 years ago,
Yeah, 3 or 4 years ago.
four something. I don't know. It was before. Must have been right before A Christmas Story.
Yeah,
So it
because
must
we
have been
yeah
like
because we did
coming
it
on
that
four.
November, and then Creator was in August.
Yeah. Um, so coming up on four, I think, and so the area's changed a lot, but there is something about those little storefront theaters that just leads to, like, in that situation, and
Oh, for sure.
having to lock the doors. And
Yeah.
I did a show there. My first ever show there was Twelfth Night. No, no,
Okay.
no. My first ever show there was Cold, and then after that we did Twelfth Night, and which was just the craziest concept. It was an all-female cast of Twelfth Night, which, like, it's a pants show already, so that's confusing, but, like, awesome. And I actually played Malvolio and Orsino, so the two male lead characters, besides the girl who played, whose name is also Shannon,
Oh,
the
good.
girl who played Olivia, not Olivia, Viola, opposite me. I was the smallest person in the cast, height-wise.
Oh, nice.
So I was like this big masculine male energy when I was, playing Orsino, and I was like 5 foot nothing. It was just such a cool. Yeah, but you know me. You know how little I am. I'm very short.
I know. Well, everyone's little to me. I'm 6'4".
I was about to say everyone's little to you, however, but it was such a cool experience, and we performed it at that theater. We actually performed it on the beachfront too. So, like,
That's cool.
talk about, like, some insane experiences, like being in the middle of performing and having it, like, pour down rain, or, like, having people walk past, or, like, it was an interesting experience. For sure.
That's fantastic. Shannon, I can't imagine another person I want to talk to right now during a pandemic. So thank you for calling in and letting me talk to you for some time. It was a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad. It was nice catching up with you too.
Hey everyone, thanks again for listening to this episode of You Have a Minute, a daily isolated podcast. My thanks to Shannon Lee Day for coming on the show and asking. It was very kind of her to ask to be on it, and for her wanting to do it. It was, like we said, I've known her since the fall of 2014. We did a show in the spring of 2015, but I have technically worked with her since the fall of 2014. So 6 years, I think that is. Again, see, average student at math. I'm not good with numbers, but yeah, I have known her a long time, and she has seen me grow up, and I have seen her the same way as my boss. But a wonderful person, a wonderful actor, singer, all around just a great person to talk to. It's nice to now just talk as artists and adults, because I was 17 when I first met her, and now I'm an adult. So it's nice to have adult conversations, and for once. Also, I do apologize if the noise level was a little weird for this episode. I'm actually recording from my basement. I don't usually record in my basement. I record upstairs in my other area. But I had the opportunity to try in the basement, and I thought, hey, what the heck? What's the worst that can happen? And apparently, you should never do a podcast in your basement that is near the laundry room, because stuff like that will happen. So apologies for that. I will make a note about that. But like I said, next week is Teacher Week. I have been fortunate enough to reach out to some teachers, and some teachers are getting back to me to want to do it. And I am currently making a schedule. 7 episodes, 7 teachers, 7 different stories. I'm very excited. Heck, I might even dress up. We'll see what happens. As always, wash your hands, isolate yourself. Let's keep flattening the curve. And I will talk to you guys later. Stay safe, all.